Back to the top story that we are tracking here on DD India Newshour. The European Union has adopted a 14th round of sanctions against Russia. Dr. Mohan Kumar joins us from the New Delhi suburb of Greater Noida. Dr. Kumar is a former Indian ambassador to France and Bahrain. Ambassador Kumar, welcome to DD India Newshour. Now, straight off the bat, Ambassador Kumar, will the latest EU sanctions on Russian gas affect India?
There is the issue of primary sanctions, and then there is the issue of secondary sanctions. So if there are Indian companies involved indirectly, then I think it will affect India as well. But I don't expect it to affect us in a very big way, because already Indian companies have started taking precautions in anticipation of what the US and the EU will do. So I don't expect Indian companies to be dramatically affected, but yes, there will be some changes. As it is, India's gas imports have risen from Qatar, from the United States, and from a number of other sources. So gradually, I think our companies are taking precautions and making adjustments to the international regime.
Now, that said, Ambassador Kumar, they say there is opportunity in a crisis. Will Russia increasingly turn towards India to shore up its energy exports?
I think Russia has already is selling a lot of oil to us. It's in the area of gas. I think that we are not too dependent on Russia. We import from a variety of other sources. So if you're asking me about gas, I do not believe India will now suddenly try and increase gas imports from Russia. I don't believe we will do that. But we will continue to import oil. That is, I think, much more important for the Indian economy.
Right.
And we will try and do that as we have done in the past.
And talking about oil and gas, Ambassador Kumar, how would you describe the status of India's energy ties with Russia? What does India import from Russia, and is it continuing apace in spite of tensions between Russia and the West?
So what, Ramesh, your audience should understand is that we are now making purchases of petroleum products on the international market. So it's not as if we have predetermined in our minds that we will buy from one source or the other. It's completely an issue of price. The reason why we started buying oil in large quantities from Russia was because the Russian oil was cheap, frankly. And that makes a big difference for the Indian economy, since we have a large number of people who suffer from energy poverty, as I say. And as our External Affairs Minister has said, this is not a bad thing, because if India had not bought oil from Russia, then there was every chance that the price of oil would have shot through the roof. And that is, I don't think, good news even for the United States and Joe Biden in an election year. The price of gas at the pump in the United States is a very significant factor which will make a difference to election outcomes in the US. It traditionally has. So I don't believe that what we have done is against the interest of a large number of countries. It certainly has been in the interest of India. I would only put it to you that we will buy oil from wherever it is cheap. What we need for the Indian economy as we seek to take off and as we seek to achieve growth rates of 8% and above is inexpensive oil. As you and your audience know, we are heavily dependent on imported oil, and therefore I don't think we will be happy with very high prices. As long as prices hover around $80 to $85 Brent crude, I think we are good. So our objective is to source our energy supplies from the cheapest source possible without geopolitical considerations. I don't think there is too much of geopolitical considerations there. It's pure and simple economics.
Ambassador Kumar, having looked at it from an Indian perspective, if I were to ask you to approach it from a Russian perspective, just for the sake of argument, do you think the sanctions will hurt Russia?
So far, Ramesh, the answer has to be in the negative. Everybody expected the kind of sanctions adopted by the West to completely sink the Russian economy. That has not happened.
Okay.
I agree that the Russian economy has taken a hit, but I don't think it has had the desired effect. And that is because there are other importers which have come to Russia's rescue. China imports huge quantities, much bigger quantities than India. India, of course, buys oil from Russia, and there are several other countries which continue to do that. So my answer to your question is there will be some impact on the Russian economy, but not enough to sink it.
Fair enough. Ambassador Kumar, if I were to ask you to take a step back, like zoom out and look at the Eurasian region as a whole. Now, India is operating the Chabahar port in Iran. It is said to be integral to the international north-south transport corridor that links India to Russia and beyond. Now, will greater connectivity lead to greater two-way trade between India and Russia?
Yes, I think there is a good chance that that happens. But I think, Ramesh, the real game changer is, I think, the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, frankly. Those are the kind of corridors that will lead to a paradigm shift in our imports and exports, not things like the North-South corridor and the Chabahar, which I think have been talked about for a long time. But we know there are some important issues that block the full implementation of these projects. What I would say is that if something like the IMEC, as they call it, IMEC, takes off, that I think will be a real game changer for India.
And finally, Ambassador Kumar, how do you look at how India-Russia ties will shape up in Prime Minister Modi's third term in government? Will India stay the course?
I personally think, and I've written somewhere as well, that we've treated Russia very fairly. This is my broad assessment. We will continue to treat Russia fairly. We have a legacy relationship with Russia, and we have tried to resist a lot of pressure from the West and have tried to do business with Russia. But if you ask me in the long term, I really think there is no alternative for India except to diversify our supplies from Russia, whether it is defense or energy. I think the Russians know this, Indians know this, I think the Western countries know this as well. But these have reasons to do with Russia's own requirements, the own internal dynamic of Russia, the war that Russia is prosecuting vis-a-vis Ukraine. So it's not as if India has woken up one day and decided we will reduce our dependence on Russia. It's just the practical assessment based on the contemporary realities that is making India diversify its defense and energy supplies with the rest of the world.
Ambassador Kumar, pleasure as always to talk to you. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.